Hello and welcome. My name's Angie Holden and I'm the blogger behind the Country Chic Cottage. You may have noticed something changed behind me. So today we're going to talk about the DreamBox as well as the other changes in my craft space to give you some inspiration. Now, I was gifted the DreamBox and they are sponsoring this video. However, all projects and opinions are my own. So what is the Create Room DreamBox behind me? We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about other craft organization type of things that might work in your space. So I'm going to start off by saying that my space is fairly small. So it's probably about a 10 by 14 inch room approximately. And in this space, there are a lot of things. So I held off getting a DreamBox for a very long time. I didn't think it would work in this space. I thought it was too big. I didn't think it would hold what I needed it to hold. I knew what I needed it to do and make this a functional space. I just thought it was so large that I wouldn't have space for other things. So I held off getting one. And then I got the Cricut Venture, the Glowforge Aura. I had these big machines and I knew this space had to change. It just was not functional anymore. That's when I started researching furniture options for crafters. And the DreamBox just kept popping up and it really seemed like the best solution once I started researching it. And I must say, after installing it, getting it here, putting everything in it, the DreamBox by Create Room holds a ton of stuff. So if you've been holding off, I really think that you might want to watch this video because whether you have a small craft space or a large, the DreamBox might just be the solution for you. Now I'm using it for my Cricut crafting supplies. So you'll kind of see, we're gonna walk around the room. I'm gonna show you everything, including behind the scenes here. As we walk around the room, you'll see that kind of the Cricut stuff is behind me and the sublimation stuff is on the other side of the room. That's the way I chose to do it, but I think the DreamBox would work whether you're a Cricut or sublimation crafter or any crafter in between. So first let's talk about the DreamBox itself. Since it's behind me, we'll take a tour of the DreamBox and then talk about like ordering, your options. Are you confused by it? I'm here to help. So first let's talk about the ordering and setup process. So there are a variety of ways and options that you can order a DreamBox. So you can take a look at the options on their website and kind of decide what works for you. Now I will say, first of all, I was kind of under a time crunch. I had to completely clean out this room, paint, flip the entire space. So I am talking to you from the other side of the room than I usually do. And I had to do it in the span of time that would allow me to create videos, 2 videos a week still for you. So I was in a huge time crunch. So that affected some of my personal decisions. If you're not in a time crunch, you could probably do some more budget saving options. So let's talk about some of that. So first of all, when you're ordering the DreamBox, you have a couple different options for the configuration and you can decide which one works for you. You can also decide the number of totes you're gonna get. So I went for a full set of totes because quite frankly, I didn't have the time to order more totes if the half set did not work for me. So I got the full set of totes so I would have more than enough to do any configuration that I wanted to with the DreamBox itself. Then when the DreamBox comes, there are a couple of different example configurations they send you in your instruction packet, which are very helpful. But I also looked online at other people, like just kind of Googled DreamBox. How do they have theirs set up? Where are their totes? Where are their shelves? Did I like where they had their Cricut machines? I just looked at a bunch of inspiration images and decided what would work best for me. You'll see in a second when we tour the DreamBox that I opted for a long shelf in the middle for more machine storage, but you could not have that option. So you could have more storage in the center instead of more machines in the center. So you only have one Cricut machine instead of, so I have got 6 Cricut machines total in this DreamBox behind me. You heard that right. Plus 3 easy presses. So there are a lot of machines in the DreamBox behind me, which is what I needed. That was the storage I needed. So what I found was with the options and the customization of the DreamBox, you can literally customize it to be the storage of your dreams. And I was able to do that with mine. So it became exactly what I needed it to become once I got started and started arranging everything inside. So the other thing you're going to notice if you decide to order is that you can get a pre-built option. Now that is not a fully assembled option. Pre-built means that it comes in a few different large pieces, but you still have to assemble some and sort of assemble the shelves, assemble the insides. The outside boxes are built for you. Now I chose to get the pre-built option because we were under a time crunch. However, I would encourage you to measure well. That center part behind me comes as one large piece. Our stairs, my craft room is on the second floor. Our stairs have a very weird angle, so it's kind of like that Friends episode with the couch and people, yelling pivot. There was not a way to pivot enough to get that large box upstairs. So we had to disassemble, bring it up here, and reassemble just the large box. So if I had realized that, I might not have done the pre-built option, but I might still have done it just to have the other pieces assembled. Not sure what I would have decided. When it comes to you, it is delivered on a very large truck. We are lucky enough to live on a very large farm with a large tractor that has forks, and we were able to unload it ourselves. The truck does have a lift gate, so they will be able to lower it for you, but it is delivered to like the end of your driveway, so keep that in mind on delivery day, and you'll need to have people there to, help you unload, get everything out, get everything inside. So I mentioned I got the pre-built option, but that is not fully assembled. So you have to add the hinges, there are internal pieces to add, there are shelves to put in. I found the DreamBox instructions very, very easy to follow. So I just went through the instruction booklet, following the instructions step by step. I will say that the DreamBox itself also comes with feet that attach to the front. So safety first, you want to attach it to the wall, make sure it's secure, and also use the feet at the bottom. So you never want to get in a situation where the DreamBox would turn over and hurt you or someone else that's in your space. I personally will probably never move my DreamBox, or very, very rarely. So I will probably keep the feet on it at all times, but they are removable if, say, you want to shut the doors. I found I did not have to move the feet in the center, that I could leave those into place and just remove the feet on the doors and everything would shut perfectly. And everything inside of the DreamBox is basically customizable. So once you get the hinges on, get everything working, you can change up the inside. So I found that I laid it out one way, didn't like it, moved a few things, didn't like it again, moved them again, and that is totally okay. So I just kept moving things around until I got a configuration I liked. And I found that I was very overwhelmed by the whole thing, right? So there was so many spaces to put things. Where do I want to put all these bins? Where do I want the shelves to go? Like, I just did not know. So I had a friend, Nicole, Life Coach Baker is her handle on Instagram, and she actually suggested using Post-it notes. So I went around my craft room, I thought about everything I want to put in this DreamBox, and I wrote it on a Post-it note. And then I thought about the size of whatever that was and sort of stuck those around the DreamBox. This is where I think it would go. That helped me tremendously. It kind of helped me understand, like, where do I want things located in the DreamBox and what would work best in certain locations. That helped me, and I started moving some things around at that point to work with the configuration I was developing in my mind. Then all that was left to do was to start filling it up. So I started grabbing my supplies, adding them to the DreamBox, and that meant that I moved more things around. But that is okay. So I found certain things didn't fit where I envisioned them that they would fit, so I would just move different things. Move the shelves, move the tote tracks. Everything is very easy to move once you have it in place and assembled. So I just kept moving things around until I got the look that I liked and what I thought would work for the way I craft. And the best part is I can change the slater if I find that I gain more vinyl, more infusible ink, or I want to change and just do a different type of craft. I can change out what's in the totes, I can change out where the positions are, I could change out the shelves, I can change out whatever I want to in the DreamBox itself. The doors are definitely one of my favorite parts. Again, these are completely customizable with where the shelves are. There are shelves that have hooks, so on one side I put scissors, on another side I put Cricut tools. There are little jars, and you can do a jar upgrade. So these jars are actually from Create Room, and I chose to upgrade to those. But you could use other jars that you have instead. And I put different supplies in the jars. I found that the DreamBox itself was for small things and large. The totes even have dividers. So the medium and small totes, you can actually use little dividers that come with it and divide up the storage inside. So if you have two different types of things or some things you just want to keep from sliding around, the dividers are a great way to do that. I did add on a few additional accessories, including some paper organizers as well as a tool cubby. When you add on those accessories, they'll be in a separate box and you'll need to assemble those separately. So you assemble those outside of the dream box. They're sort of all self-contained. The instructions are with them. It's very simple. You assemble them and then slide them into place within the dream box itself. Then you can arrange the shelves, the totes, whatever around them to make the perfect configuration for you. Now, at any point in time, you can go to the Create Room website and you can order more totes, more of a certain size shelf, more of the hooks, more of the rods that are in the doors, more of the jars, anything you see that I used in my dream box, you can order more of it. So that's why I say maybe you might want to start with the half tote size and just sort of order individually what else you need at a later date. I do think that would work for a lot of people, unless you just know that you're going to do the full tote configuration and you're going to need every tote you can get your hands on. Now, once I got my dream box completely filled, it looked great, right? However, I did not particularly care for the clear totes. So the totes are clear. You can see the insides of them. If you like the look of that, that is fine. You can stop at that point. However, I went one step further. I used my Cricut machine to cut cardstock, and I got the SVG file for the drawer fronts from the Jennifer Maker website, and I'll link to her in the description below this video. You can download those SVG files, use your Cricut machine to cut fronts for your drawers, and then add them in. And then on each of those pieces of cardstock, I added a label. So I added a label as to what was inside, and I added it to the cardstock and not the container itself. That way it's easy to change out. So my whole thing here is to be easy to customize and change later. I find that crafting changes so rapidly for me that I need to be able to change my space as well. So adding the labels to the cardstock is one way for me to easily be able to change out my dream box to whatever I need it to be. And then I took those slips of paper and just slipped them inside of the totes in the front. Now, for some of these, I had to use like a little dry adhesive on the sides to hold it into place. Others stayed in place fine, especially if there was like long rolls of infusible ink in the bin. There was really no need for the adhesive, but you may find that you need a little adhesive in order to hold the cardstock into place on the front of the drawer. Now, I think the cardstock is a really fun addition. It allows you to sort of customize the colors of your dream box, and you could change this out as often as you wanted to. So maybe I like this configuration now. When I change up the color later, I could do that. So I sort of added a few of my brand colors to the dream box because that was my choice, but you could pick whatever colors you would like here. And then to finish off my dream box configuration, I added some printable vinyl and my logo to the top. So I did opt for the crown at the top. So it's a double crown with a double light. So there are two lights instead of my dream box, and you can opt to purchase that crown or you don't have to add that on. So now let's take a look around the dream box so you can see just how much it holds. Let's take a tour of the dream box starting in the center. So up at the top, I have a variety of things. In the middle is the tool cubby. So the tool cubby comes separately like the paper trays, and you assemble it separately and then you add it into the dream box. That means I could add this tool cubby wherever I wanted to. Assemble it, slide it in, it's ready to go. It's ready to add all of your pens. Now, this is a lot of pens in one spot. This is a ton of Cricut pens, infusible ink pens, Joy pens. There are watercolor markers, there are paint pens. I was able to fit so many of these pens. And also in the center, I have a shelf where I have my Easy Press mats under the shelf. And then on top, I have my Cricut blade organizer. And then, of course, I had to add some cuties into my dream box. That's personal preference. Then the sides, like I said, everything is customizable in the dream box. And that means I could customize these to what I needed. So I did some large totes at the top on both sides and medium totes on the bottom. And then again, shelves for Easy Press mats. So I have two of like the medium size Easy Press mats in here and one of the smaller Easy Press mat. I like the mats in these little shelves so they're easy to access. I tried them several different places, and this is where I like them best. I opted for this configuration with my DreamBox. Now there are a couple different options here, but this is the one that I liked because I wanted mine to hold as many Cricut machines as possible. You all know I have a lot of Cricut machines. So this is a Maker 3, an Explorer 3, tons of cuties, my Easy Press Mini, the 9x9 Easy Press, the Cricut Joy, and the Cricut Joy Extra, all in this area. And then I have the Extra and the Joy mats over here on the side, a power strip on that side, as well as the switches for my lights. And then this is the area where the table folds down. So you have the table and you just fold it up. Now the DreamBox 2 doesn't have any legs, so you just fold it up and down. Very, very easy. So I'm gonna leave it up so we can take a look underneath and see even more machine storage. So below the table, I have the Explorer Air 2, my original Maker. This is the small Easy Press, Xyron sticker maker, Creative Station refill. This is a tumbler spinner, and this is my large Easy Press. So there are a lot of machines in this DreamBox. If you'll notice these feet down here, so these feet help to keep the DreamBox steady. Now with these 2 feet in the center, I can close the DreamBox up. So this is one side of my DreamBox, and you have the door here, and then this whole cube swings in like you saw. So on this door, I opted for the jars. I have half of them on this side, half on the other. Then I have one of the shelves that take hooks, and this is all cutting tools, scissors and rotary cutters. You will notice a lot of smart materials in my doors. The smart materials do not fit even in the larger cubbies, so you need to think about where you're going to put those. I did store them in the doors, however I did realize they also fit like directly on the shelves, so if you want to do shelves you could do those. So this is smart label stuff, and then on this side I opted for a shelf here and 4 of the medium size cubbies, and then I have a paper holder on both sides. So the paper organizer, it is an additional accessory. This one has HTV and vinyl 12x12 sheets, so it does hold 12x12 sheets. And then my bright pads are actually on the top. So I have 2 different Cricut bright pads, and they're on the top of that. So there's a little bit of space in between the shelf and the paper organizer, and that's where I slid my bright pads in this case. And then on your doors, you'll have this sort of long, skinny area you can utilize as well. This top has my paper trimmers and of course a Cricut cutie. And then I have several of the small totes. This side is primarily glue stuff. So it's glue guns, glue tools and mats, and these are glue sticks primarily in this small area. Now this is completely customizable again, so you can change the location of these shelves wherever you want to put your small cubbies. So I just kind of played around until I found something that worked for me. Then down at the bottom of this door, I basically have smart iron-on materials and any of these longer tubes. Like, so this is the UV color changing HTV from Cricut. Any of these tubes that have this top would not fit in the large totes. So you would need to find a different way to store those. This is one option. And then I have 2 rods on this side, 2 more on the other side you're gonna see in a minute. There are 4 rods that come with the configuration that I've got, and then smart iron-on in the bottom. And then these are all large totes with a variety of materials. So I'm just going to kind of run it down so you can see just how much this will hold. 2 things of infusible ink. This one is double layered. Infusible ink for the Joy. This is actually empty, so I still have space. The Joy Extra materials. Window cling and label material, Cricut Joy materials again, so 2 trays of that, felt, and my Sizzix dies. And then again, you have the long skinny area, small totes and some of those, and then the smart paper is in this bottom, because again, the smart paper is like 13 by 13, I think. Anyway, it is too large for these totes. These totes hold 12 by 12 inch material, so anything larger than that, you need to find an alternate method of storage. So here is the other side. Again, this is the door that shuts. So let's talk about this area first. Again, smart materials, smart vinyl this time. The shelf with the hooks, and this time I have Cricut tools hanging from it. Another set of the 4 jars. This side again, so my two sides match because I like symmetry. However, you could do each of your sides differently if you would like. This has 4 of the medium totes, glue and Xyron supplies like the sticker makers, things like that. Then in here I have the roll holder for the Maker 3 and Explorer 3. I found it best to store it in one of these standing up areas. You could put it on a shelf if you would like. Then some more of the small totes with a variety of supplies. And then this paper organizer has paper only. So tons of different cardstock, 12 by 12 cardstock. And I actually have copy paper up here at the top because I use that quite a bit. And on the bottom of this door, more smart vinyl, 2 more of those rods, ribbon and washi tape, and then the large totes. So I have cords, Cricut paper, printable transfers, printable materials, sticker paper, mat board, foil, laminate, foam, tissue, and crepe paper. And then so a few small totes here. And then this is where I'm storing my Cricut mats. Now, I've seen people do the Cricut mats a variety of ways. I liked this way best. I've also seen people, so this, as this shuts, this is a flat white area. I've seen people use like command hooks and hang their mats on this. I didn't think I would like that, so that was my personal preference. However, I would encourage you to get inspiration from a variety of people that have a DreamBox to sort of look at all the different configurations and decide, like with these mats, which one works for your crafting and the type of crafter you are. And here's a close-up of the drawers with the drawer cover and the labels that I use. Again, it was just a label maker. And then if I was to pull this one out of here, you could see the difference close up between the two. I like the cleaner look of the liners better. Again, this is just cardstock cut with my Cricut machine, and you can use a little adhesive if you would like. So now that you've taken a look around the DreamBox, I did want to mention that there is going to be a sale starting September 1st on the DreamBox. So that's September 1st, 2023, if you're finding this video later. However, what I'm going to do, because the DreamBox is an investment, and I do realize that, if you want to add it to your wish list, say you are going to add it to your wish list, you might purchase it at some point in the future, I am going to drop a link in the description below this video for an email list. If you will sign up for that email list, I will notify you whenever there's a sale. That way, if it's on your wish list, like it's your dream bucket list item, one of these days you want a DreamBox in your space, sign up for that email list. When there's a sale, I'll drop you an email. Then you can decide if that's the sale for you and if it's the right time to fit your needs and budget, and if a DreamBox is going to become a reality for you. So I'm going to do that, and I'll email you about the sale on September 1st, the September 1st sale, and then any future sales, I'll email that email address as well. So that way you're kept aware of when they actually go on sale, so you can decide when the right time is for you to purchase a DreamBox if you really want one. So now that you've seen the DreamBox, I thought I'd give you a tour of the rest of the space because the entire space changed and I'm so in love with the way it turned out. So let's take a look at the entire space, including some behind the scenes of how these videos are shot. So back on this other side, like I said, this is a fairly small space, so I utilize every single inch. You may have noticed when I closed the DreamBox originally, there is storage behind both of these, so I have paper rolls and stuff like that stored behind. And then on the wall here, I have a pegboard. Now this is from Wall Control, and for this one I have all my rulers on it. So what I found was not all of my rulers had a hole. So I found I had a problem. So these across the bottom had a hole, I could hang them up. Okay, that's all well and good. These other ones did not, and a lot of them are very, very long. So this ruler is 36 inches. So I did not want to take up space in the DreamBox for rulers. I wanted that space for other stuff, and I felt like this was a good solution. So you can get various accessories to put on the Wall Control pegboard to hold things like the rulers. And so I felt like this was a good solution for me. And I do have a couple more of these, and I'll show you those in a minute. Behind this other side, I do have a little bit of space because I had to skew everything to one side because of the door. So I did the wall mural on this wall, and I did do a video of that a couple weeks ago. I'll link to that below. And I have my Venture here on the docking stand. So I can move it when I want to use it or film with it. I can move it on the docking stand away from this area. And then you will also notice I have my Cricut lamp here. So I use this to kind of brighten up the background. So the new background is going to be the DreamBox when I'm filming YouTube videos. So this kind of moves out and points toward the background while I'm filming. So this is a good spot to store it, sort of right by the Venture. And then beside the Venture, you may have found yourself wondering where my very large smart vinyl is. So this is a cart, and it's actually made for like blueprints for drafting, and it is perfect to store the smart vinyl. The rolls that are like in the boxes work well. So the smaller rolls, 21 foot, stuff like that. The very, very large rolls I have, you can see a pink basket back behind there, sort of tucks in behind my DreamBox, and that's where I have those very, very large, heavy rolls. Then tucked in this corner, if you'll notice, there is a little stand, and it does have my printer, large format Canon printer on it, and there is some storage underneath, and I have wood blanks in it. If you've been around this YouTube channel anytime at all, you'll recognize the view behind me here. So that is the door that was in my videos. I sort of flipped the room and I flipped the table that I filmed. And I wanted to give you a little sneak peek into the background of what makes the magic happen. So this might be a very bright portion of the video, but these are the lights I use, and they're all pointed directly at you at this point because that is where I will be sitting when I film YouTube videos. So I'll be sitting on that side of the table, and then there's a camera mount in the ceiling for my top-down shots. And then I get a lot of questions when people notice this. There's a PVC pipe contraption above my head, and it has large paper rolls on it. I use those for backdrops when I take photography pictures for like YouTube thumbnails, my website, things like that. I drop these paper rolls down, take the images on the table that I'm standing at right now, and then roll them back up. This is a custom build that my husband made. And then from the other side of the room, this is where I sit and film the YouTube videos. And this is the table that is in the shots, but you don't get to see the full thing all the time. So the table is a custom build, my husband built it. I have a cord organizer here, so all of those Cricut machines you see, the mug press, whatever, all the cords are inside. And I have the plug sticking out of one end, and then the part that goes into the machine sticking out of the other end. This is just so I don't have a huge mess of cords. Not everyone needs one, but if you have a bunch of Cricut machines, you might look into that. And then also on this table, I have just a small rotary organizer. Had this for years, cannot live without it. Just things that I use every single day. I keep right there handy. And then the table itself, it's a plywood top. It's covered with plexiglass, and then I custom order these vinyl tops. Probably need to order another one right now, but I custom order these cut exactly to the table size. So it is like a huge sheet of like an industrial vinyl type product, and it covers my table. And I get these in a wide variety of colors so I can kind of change up the background. And then over beside me, out of the shot, is a large container of different colors of paper. So I will lay those down on this table, shoot from that camera mount that I just showed you up above, and so that's why the background changes in my videos, different colors you might see. It's because I lay different paper in this area, or I just shoot on the vinyl that you see on the table. I did say I use every square inch, and I definitely do. So the table, both ends has storage, and this is a roll of butcher paper that I always keep on the end, like longer roll, use it for sublimation, whatever. But I have like 4 baskets on this side and I think 5 on the other side of the table. So yes, every square inch of the entire room is used. Beside the table in my videos, I have this small metal rolling cart from Michael's. It has like a roll of paper towels, a few other things that I just like to keep handy while I'm working, and I keep them on this cart. I like adding this little tabletop to the cart so I have storage inside as well as on the top. So I'm standing in front of the door that was beside the Venture. So the Venture's on this side of me, other side of the door. We start kind of the heat press sublimation area of the room. So we have this cube shelf. Now the cube shelves and the baskets with the chalkboard tags that I use were from Walmart many, many years ago. I think they've been discontinued, but I love them so much and they work so well that I just can't bear to part with them. So I did reuse them in this redone space. Then the top has hat press, mug press, and all of this is sublimation blank storage, including these top things here. I do have my speedball screens up here at the top, and then PYD live oven, and then this little organizer has the shrink wrap that I use in the oven, and there is a heat resistant glove up here at the top. I did utilize one of the cubes for some paint storage. I will show you sort of my secret area where most of my paint is stored, but I wanted some of the like odd varieties that I wanted separate in a different area, so I used this cube for that. Then more sublimation blanks, and we move over to like the heat press table. On the heat press table, there is just a little gap in this area. So there was a gap between what I'm using to hold the table up and this shelf. So in this gap is all of my heat press pads, roll of foam, that type of thing. And then these two drawers have basically all sublimation supplies with a few exceptions, and each one of them is labeled, and I just sort of organized each drawer with different types of sublimation blanks. Then on that table I have the auto press, and right now I have my Caesar heat press over in this corner back here. I have another area just outside of this room that has like overflow type of stuff, so it's in a walk-in closet, and I can store like my extra heat presses, because yes, I do have a lot of heat presses. You've seen some, you might not have seen them all, but there are a lot of heat presses and different accessories. So anything I'm not using at the time, like for instance, you don't see my PYD Live tumbler press in this shot. I'm not using it right now, so it's kind of in that excess area, and I can kind of swap them out as I need to. And then above the wall of this table, I have two more of the wall control pegboards. This is all my sublimation supplies, and I love how this turned out. Having this directly above the heat presses is perfect for what I need. So we have Dytrans Pro Spray, adhesive spray for sublimation. There's a fire extinguisher up there. I have heat tape and a variety of tape dispensers. There's some more heat tape, a lint roller, and scissors down at the bottom on this one. This one has my heat resistant gloves, some microfiber cloths, and a roll of butcher paper. So this is on a roll. It runs behind this. I can pull it, trim it with the scissors to length. Love it. And then I have extra butcher paper up here, some of it in sheets. So this is actually in sheets and it's just kind of rolled up. And then my heat gun, those grippers that I use around tumblers are at the top as well. So this worked out perfectly. I can't stress that enough. I decided to give this a try to see if it would work better than my current situation with sublimation supplies, and I can't wait to get to crafting with this. And then beside the heat press table is my Glowforge. I have it on this IKEA cart, different materials stored in the cart. Now the Glowforge itself is on the cart. Behind the cart, you can't see it, is my air filter. So it is hooked up to the air filter, so I could run this right here without moving it. However, the cart is on wheels, so if I wanted to move it to an area with a window, I could. All right, so last area. So the door that was behind the Glowforge is over on this side of me. And then I have another one of these cube shelves. On top of this shelf, I have printers. So I have the Epson F170, my Sawgrass SG500, and my Epson that I converted for sublimation. There's this organizer that has different papers, sublimation paper mostly, my sublimation ink, and in this cube shelf I have blanks, mostly Cricut blanks. And then down the center of this shelf I have my spray paint storage. I love the X dividers on these for spray paint. Now again, these shelves were from Walmart and discontinued. I have seen X dividers like this at Michael's as well as IKEA, so you can probably pick up something similar at either of those. And then in this area is this organizer here. So any influencer, craft blogger, we all have an issue with like incoming product. So this is basically products that I need to make video content with. So something comes in and I need a place to store it temporarily. I don't want to put it away because I need to actually film the content. I film the content and then I put it away. So I have this organizer to do that. So as things come in, I can put them in this organizer, have them in one place, pull them out, make the video, and then hopefully organize them in my great new organized space. So I did just want to note on the back of both of the doors, I have an organizer for vinyl. One's for vinyl, one's for HTV. So I do have a lot of rolls of vinyl, and that's where I store those. These organizers work great for me, and I will link to a full video below on different organizer options and why I found that this one works the best for my craft room. So this closet is in another room, and I just wanted to show you this so you didn't think all of my craft supplies are in the actual craft room. So it's adjacent to my room, very small closet, and I put this custom closet organizer in it several years ago. And I will link you to that video if you want to see more about it and kind of what's inside. It does change periodically, but basically the same things are inside as when I first did the craft closet several years ago. I've just kind of changed up what's in the boxes depending on what I'm working on at the time. So now I just wanted to reiterate that this is a rather small space, but I do have a couple other areas that I work out of. So I kind of showed you that closet. There's another walk-in closet that I have a portion of for overflow, and then I have a separate office area that I also work out of. So I did want to note that for anyone that sees these videos and thinks, that's only a 10 by 14 room. The room I shoot my videos in is only a 10 by 14 space, and I try to utilize as much of this space as possible for craft supplies and crafting. And then the other spaces in my home I have for storage, as well as office type area for office work. Otherwise, this is the space I do most of my crafting out of, and I hope you got inspired for your own crafting space. So now, if you liked this video, if it helped you, give us a thumbs up. If you have any questions about my space, any of the products I used, the DreamBox, feel free to ask those in the comment section below. And if you haven't already, head on over to my YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. We have videos just like this one every single week, and we'll have more DreamBox in the background videos because this is the new backdrop for the Angie Holden YouTube channel. So thank y'all so much for joining me, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.